Hello, this video is going to be the pros and cons of being a victim advocate at a domestic violence shelter. So, my first pro about being a victim advocate is obviously making a positive impact. You're helping people who are going through tumultuous situations, who are going through trauma, who is going through terrible life situations, and you're there to give them a hand, steer them in the right direction, and you know, give them valuable resources to make their life better. The second one is emotional fulfillment. Helping victim advocates could be very emotionally rewarding. Helping people who turned every which way with no success and be able to finally give these people what they need and what they want is one of the most fulfilling parts of working here. I just love it. The variety of work, I guess depending on the type of work you do, it could be a lot of differences. It could vary day to day. In my line of work, mine's kind of is the same. I kind of do the same work, but I always deal with different situations. So it could be monotonous or it could be flexible. It just depends on what you're doing. Skill development. Each client is different, even though they're all going through a situation that brought them to us. Every client needs different things, and the personalities are different. What you say and how you do things varies from client to client. So that's another skill development, being creative, being empathetic, a great listener, just giving someone advice, being the listening ear, and having knowledge about certain legal things or about the laws in certain states. That's and I think also a positive thing can be is a con is now we're going to get to the cons. One con is the emotional toll that this job could take on you. You're dealing with people with various traumatic situations, and hearing people's traumatizing stories all day, every day, can really take a toll on your mental and emotional health. It could also lead you to compassion fatigue, which means that it's not that you don't care, but you don't really show empathy for people's situation. You're just immune to just really feeling anything. You're just tired and over it. You're just numb. You're just cold. You're just hearing it and then it just goes out of another ear. It don't really pull at your heartstrings anymore. The second con is the high stress. Um, I deal with this day to day. It's very stressful dealing with victims and you can't help them when they need a certain resource or help with something, and the only thing you could tell them is we do not offer that, or you know the shelter's full, or we can't I don't know of any other organizations that could assist you with it. It's very stressful, and the influx of reports some days is also highly stressful. Dealing with people's problems, especially when you have your own situations going on in your personal life, is stressful as well. So it's definitely a highly stressful environment. I try to do little things here and there to just decompress, but some days is more stressful than others. The third con is complex cases. As you know, not every situation is the same, and some people's is very complex, where they need a lot more assistance and hands-on help, such as like legal, or if it's like spousal issues over a home, or trying to have a protective order, or trying to kick someone out where they're not even on the deed, or they're not even on the lease. Just little stuff like that, or it could be co-parenting, or if a client needs shelter and all the shelters are full and there's nowhere to send them. That's some complex cases that I've come across, and it can be very, very demanding mentally, because it's just, honestly, it's just sometimes there's nothing you could do, unfortunately. The fourth and the fourth con, which I come across every single day. I've been a victim advocate for a year, and I still cannot comprehend everything. Like, I still can't comprehend this. Is limited resources. I currently work at a nonprofit, so we're limited on a lot of things. The number one thing that our clients need help with is shelter. The area I live in, the shelters are full all the time, all year around, because there's high, rampant domestic violence cases. We currently shelter, I think, approximately 100, or I could be wrong, it's close to that, victims, and it's still not enough. Every day I check to see if there's an opening, there's nothing. So that is very, it just, it brings you down. It brings it increases the pressure. It brings you down mentally and emotionally, because it's like you want to do all you can to help these victims, these survivors who are trying their best to get away from their traumatic violent situation, but it is nothing you could do. It's nowhere you could turn them to. Some of them need help with bills to stop them from getting evicted and being on the street. We have clients every day who's trying to escape from their abuser with their kids, but we just don't have the funds or any shelter to provide them. There's many other resources we're limited on, but I'm just going to stick to those since they're the most prevalent in my everyday work life. The fifth con is the trauma. I don't know if I have been affected yet, but there's something called secondary trauma. So, from hearing about or witnessing other people's traumatic experience, you somehow are the victim yourself. It's like you're experienced that trauma firsthand. Honestly, I can't say that I think I've noticed that I've been experiencing that, or I went through this, but I know that being in this job, it made me very, very on guard. It made me very distant from people. It also made me um, more fearful of men. Like, I've always been fearful of men. I had a real deep rooted fear of men since I was a kid. I'm not sure where that came from. I just knew I was always scared of men since I was a kid. I don't remember ever going through a traumatic experience which would cause this type of fear, but without going too deep into it, but yeah, this kind of ruined being in this line of work. It kind of opened my eyes a lot about, domestic violence. I knew it was happening, but I didn't know it was this prevalent. So also being in this job kind of really made me scared to ever be in a relationship and even being close to someone. So that's just something to keep out an eye for, is to just not make these victims' trauma your trauma. That's for now. I think a six con could probably be, I guess this ties into compassion fatigue. I've noticed my supervisors and other people going through this too. I guess it could be burnout, actually burnout. You know, we're working with so much people with such little bit of resources, with such little staff, that it really burns out a lot of people, especially if you don't have special decompressing methods, or you don't take the necessary time to yourself. I think once a month, I just have a day for myself. I have a personal day one day a month, and I just focus on relaxing. So when I go back to work, I could be the best I could be for myself and for my survivors. But with the burnout, I've seen a lot of people, they don't really go out their way. Even my supervisor, if I ask a certain questions, like, we don't offer this resource, one of our victims would like this resource, and a lot of times she just tell me, I don't know. She never go out of her way to find something that could, potentially save this survivor, or, you never know what these resources might do to for them. So it's always best to go above and beyond as much as you can, within your limits. So I always, try to research, Google the internet, and try to find as much resources other organizations provide. And other things I've seen is this, like our staff saying, we don't offer this, or I don't know, instead of just offering, like I said, other resources. Like, even if you search the web and or try to look as much as you can and you don't find nothing, like at least you made that effort. So that's just one thing I've noticed, is that burnout and compassion fatigue. The seventh or the sixth, I'm not sure, con that I have noticed in my personal job is the lack of staff. I think I said that in one of my other cons. I think the limited resources is that it's just not enough staff to deal with the influx of clients that we get on a day-to-day basis. Um, you know, you have one person working three other jobs or three other positions, and it's not fair to us and it's not fair to the client, because we're not going to give it our all in every single position. We're going to lack somewhere. So I think that's another one. or if you need a call out and you're like the only person, or someone calls out and you're the only person, or you call out and they're the only person, and then the work just piles up. So that is another con. And working at a nonprofit, we have to be very strict on the budget. This is it for my pros and cons. Even though I listed more cons than pros, I still love my job. I love what I do. Even though not every day is great and the level of stress that comes with this job can be a lot sometimes, I would not change it. And I'm grateful to be put in this position to lend a helping hand, to give my help to other people. If you have any other ideas or want to know anything else about being a victim advocate, please let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching.